All right, all right, all right, all right. We are live.
We're
Hey,
here.
y'all.
We're here again this week.
Yeah. Oh, we weren't here. It's been a week.
I said we're here again this week.
Yes, we were at the Juneteenth celebration today. Some folks who just moved here had a celebration, so we were out there. It wasn't that hot, actually.
It actually had nice breezes.
We had nice breezes.
Small group, but hey, powerful.
Yeah, it was powerful. It was fun. It was good to get together with some people who are thinking about moving here and some people who just moved here. And so if you don't know where we are in Lisbon, Portugal, for everyone who is new to the channel. Wow. So one of the things, it's interesting because we've got a special guest. This woman is integral into our move to Portugal. She is one of the reasons, the information that she has imparted is one of the reasons that we are here in Portugal, right?
Amazing with a capital A.
Yes. So, as we were talking to her earlier, it's interesting because we're talking about making money without borders. In other words, you're not going to a brick and mortar place, right? Like we've done basically all of our lives, like go to a brick and mortar place, somebody else's job, come in, do what you do, and then get out.
It's time to be your own.
Right. But we've always had a side hustle.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
We did.
And that side hustle really did keep our debt down, not as down as it should have been. But it kept our debt down.
Hey, give yourself some grace.
And taught us a lot about running your own business.
Yeah,
right?
Did.
And so, and then consulting, I did a lot of consulting as well, freelance consulting. And so, I think all of that is helpful. And I don't think people realize that a lot of the things that they've done in the past is helpful to actually making that transition. What do you think was the biggest thing for you? Because you're doing commercials and all of that freelancing.
It was just I just like doing it. They always say find something you love to do and you do for free. And I would do it for free.
Yeah.
Glad we didn't have to.
Didn't have to.
But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the camaraderie of the people that we worked with.
Yeah.
And being able to teach young people how to do such a thing. And it was just fun. I had a lot of fun doing it.
And for the most part, you get to pick who you want to work with. And
Definitely.
say no to some folks too.
And if you didn't want to, you just said no.
No, right. So that was nice because there's not a lot of freedoms in the United States.
No.
So, all right. So we're going to talk about how to make that money so that you can move abroad sooner than saving up. Like if you haven't reached your FIRE number or something like that, how to make that money to be a constant traveler, how to make that money without borders if you want to move abroad, right? So. Yeah. Let's introduce ourselves. Y'all know my name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick, still. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
He's still Rick. He thinks he's still Rick. So we had champagne today. We had wine.
I had port wine, champagne.
Yes.
And I even had a little brew.
There you go. On our channel, we don't just talk about drinking. We talk about money. We talk about travel and moving abroad as we build generational wealth. So who is our special guest today?
Special guest today is Cinnamon from Driven Spice.
Yes. But first, if you are new to our channel, then you may not know about 7 years ago, Rick and I got a wake-up call. We were getting close to retirement age. We looked at our money and it looked crazy. So even with that side hustle, we had not saved what we needed to save. But about 4 years ago, we got our financial act together and we went from negative 22,000 to over 1 million in net worth. Boy, hush. So if any of that sounds good to you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know every single time that we go live or drop a new video. You don't have to remember to do it every single week. All right. And without further ado, we're going to bring on our special guest, Cinnamon.
Hey, Cinnamon.
Hey, girl.
Hey, folks. Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you. So the sycophanty thing is a little bit with you too, girlfriend.
The what now?
Sycophant. I am such a fan. I love your vibe. I love how you're just so transparent. You talk about when you've made mistakes with grace and dignity and and you really saved us a lot of pain in this move, and actually got our expectations under control, as well as taught me some stuff, some newer stuff, because I'm a little bit older than you, on, on how I could run our business more efficiently. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Hey, folks, I see some people in the house. Hey, Monique. Hey, Jacqueline.
Right. So you see some names that you know, because we were telling people, they're like, oh, we got to tune in. We got to tune in.
We talking money, folks. Let's get into it.
Well, first, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself for the folks who don't know you?
Sure. I'm a native Washingtonian I'm a U.S. immigrant who's from Washington, D.C. I moved to Lisbon, Portugal about 4 years and some change. I have a digital marketing company, and I've been an entrepreneur and business owner for 25 years. And so I've had some good, some bad, and all of that. And so just a bunch of lessons learned, which is why I try my best to be super transparent so that it can save other people time. Because, when I came out, you didn't have all these resources now. And although you have these resources, it can be super confusing and overwhelming when you're trying to make steps forward, because you need to figure out, get in where you fit in, and you may not be sure of those steps. So we'll talk about that today.
And a lot more. Let's see who's in the chat. But I wanted to tell you, I met Margot last week.
Oh, that's my boo.
Yes, yes. And I was tongue-tied, which is just like, I don't know, girl. I don't know. But you see people, and I've read some of her articles and this and that and the other, and I was like, hi.
No, she's a beautiful spirit.
She really is, and it shows through. Hey, Auntie Trey, good to see you. Hey, Damien and Christy, Regina, Valerina. We got some folks. Boy, they tuned in early tonight.
Hey.
Mary, good to see you. Hey, Adita and Vanessa.
Actually, BJ.
Happy Father's Day to you too. Even if you are not a dad, you fathering somebody. Everybody's mothering and fathering somebody up in here, right? Hey, Greta, good to see you. Happy Nerves, Auntie Trey, Anita, Alexandria, Greta, good to see you. Pinky. And Michelle, everybody, Mama Bear, love it.
Midlife money moves.
Well, you know that. And Professor's in the house. My stethoscope travels.
I'm laughing. She said my DC accent, and I didn't realize. Apparently, because I'm visiting in DC right now, and apparently it comes out when I'm here. But everybody's like, "Saying you sound real different." I'm like, "For real?" That's funny. But thank you. That's hilarious.
So I do hear it. Hey, Krishan, I do hear it. But I've always heard it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it's stronger right now because you've been around your peeps.
I've been around my peeps,
right? Or what? But anyway, so no, it's a beautiful thing. I think that our people who are east of the Mississippi have a little leg up on us on the other side, seriously, because there is more culture, history, and everything else. And so when I meet people from back east, they already get a couple points in my head. It's like, I know you got some consciousness. I know you like, we know there's people on the West Coast that don't even know what an HBCU is.
So I got extra points from back there?
No, not from Ohio, though.
Oh, wow.
Not from Ohio.
Ohio. Can I tell you that is I shouldn't say that out loud.
No, go ahead.
I'm only saying that because I went to school in Indiana. So I had to go through Ohio for 5 hours in order to get to Indiana. And I was just like, that's one of my least favorite states.
Hey, I was born there. I didn't have a say.
No, I get it. I'm sorry. All right, no.
Okay, I'm gonna tell the story. Then we're gonna get to the money, y'all.
God,
okay. We'll talk about the money.
So speaking of freelancing, so I was engaged to do some keynote speaking in Ohio. All right, so I take my Uber ride to the hotel. I'm listening to the Uber driver, and he's Black, and he's telling me, Black folks are lazy. Black folks don't want to do nothing. Black folks don't. He's going through that whole thing. And I said, really? Because you're talking to a Black person. I said, that's not my experience. But then I'm thinking, okay, so I don't know who his people are,
Right.
and he's
His
driving an
experience.
Uber.
Yeah.
Like maybe, okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna give Brother Man a little bit of grace. Then I get to the conference and I meet the person who I'm going to be teaching with, and he's Black also, all suited up and saying the same thing, but with some finesse and some sophistication because he got a suit on. I was like, these Ohio people, I don't know.
I mean, no disrespect to people from the mid, like we can talk about that all because I went to school in the Midwest, and I'm from DC, where you're used to seeing professional minorities. Like, so to go to the Midwest and college was hard. I'll just leave that there.
I can't even imagine. Even going from LA to Utah was interesting. I went back to LA after a year. Okay, so city girl.
My father did one right thing. He got us out of Ohio.
Yeah, and to California. So there you go.
He did do that.
All right, so let's talk about this money thing, because we can glamorize the move abroad, but what we don't want, our Black Utopia family, don't be out here in these international streets talking about where's the food bank or does somebody have a room for rent.
Yeah.
Because my money done run out or something like that. And unfortunately, I have heard that. I've seen it in the WhatsApp groups. I've seen it in the private Facebook groups for immigrants. And it's not cute. It's not cute. So anybody who's part of this family, we're going to do it the right way.
Definitely.
So if someone is thinking about transitioning and or starting a side hustle that could become the major part of their income stream, what are the first things that they should be asking themselves?
First of all, you need to get a plan before you leave. You want to get your clients set up. You want to get all of that set up before you leave the country, because it's going to be significantly harder to do that when you don't live there. So, for example, if clients want to see your face, it's going to be really difficult to do that when you're not in the country. But the more important thing, you really have to determine where you fall. Because I think, and we were talking about this offline, that, we come from a background of being entrepreneurs. So we kind of think in that mindset. But if you've had a job all your life and the job is the only thing that that provides income, that's okay. But you have to be real honest with yourself in regards to your transition. Okay. So if you're in a situation where you have never created a side hustle, never done a side hustle, again, that is okay. But understand that you need to have a job that employs you that happens to be remote. That's going to be your first step. So I'm going to put you in 4 categories. You're either remote, freelance, a wantrepreneur, or entrepreneur. Okay. And this can hopefully help you conceptualize as to where you may fit in. All right. So if you are remote, that means you just want to look for other positions that are remote. You want to look for companies that have been remote the whole time. That is going to be a better fit for you versus a company just went remote during COVID, because then they probably going to bring you right back. Right. Okay. So you want corporations and jobs that tend to be remote. And that's a variety of options. It's a variety of different websites you can go to, and just check out Indeed.com. And instead of the position, go ahead and put remote in the location and see what comes up, and do this often. Okay. Make this a practice. If you haven't left to get out the country yet, make this something you may do every Tuesday. Check Indeed.com or check the other places that have specific remote positions, right?
Filters.
Now, yes. Now with this, you have to understand whether you are going to move or stay in the country. For some of y'all, you're saying you want to move, but y'all know y'all not gonna pull that trigger, and that's okay. That is perfectly fine.
It sounds good at the moment.
Yeah, it does, but it's not for everybody. So no harm, no foul. But here's what's important: regardless of you staying in the country or not, you have got to create an online brand. You have to, because the way that technology is going, people need to know that you're good at whatever it is you're good at, right? And if you don't do that, you are forced to take the jobs that someone is advertising that they have and the price and the salary that they are advertising that they have. Versus when you have your online brand on type, people come to you, and if they want to work with you, they pay you what you ask. So if you are the person who is a videographer, or you're a photographer, or you're an attorney, your online brand, whether you are staying in the country or not, is critical. Okay. This is going to be what you need to create in order to even make sure that your job is going to be okay. Because there's going to be periods where people want to be unemployed. But let's say that you were a pastry chef and you wanted to work at a particular hotel, but you have a following and an audience of people who have watched your work, and you show that when you want to go to this hotel. Don't you think they're going to hire you versus somebody else? So just consider that as whatever it is you're doing, consider how your online brand and how you're showing that you're solving your client's problem, whatever that is. Just even if you don't want to show your face, because I know that's some people's issue, then don't do it. You could still share information and do a voiceover or get, animation or whatever you want to do. Put some information on LinkedIn. How are you, give some thought pieces in your industry. Like what can you do to contribute to your industry? This is whether you are moving abroad or not. You got to do your online brand. Okay. Yeah. So, but for remote, if have conversation with yourself. If you have never been independent and had a freelance job, go ahead and just start. Your first step is to find companies that allow freelance. Okay. Excuse me, not freelance, remote work as an employee and remote work, so that you can feel a little bit more comfortable moving out of the country and having a job. Now, this is what this will make you end up doing. It'll make you get educated on how to get remote work. You follow what I'm saying? Like when you're doing it often, you start to find the nuances or the better websites or what you need to look for to make sure that this company is specifically remote and not just remote for the moment. But you won't know that, and you won't get that experience if you don't start. So if you have never started your own company, because that comes with its own nuances, and then you talking about you want to move out the country and deal with immigration and deal with language and figure out how to run a business, like that's just not realistic. Let's be real. But there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to figure out which one you fall in. So remote work is if you're used to working for a company. Next one is freelance. So if those of you who have some side hustle type of vibe, you probably already know how to get freelance clients. You will just need to know and how to probably stay in the area of how to create a lead funnel so that you can continue to get leads while you're working on your client work. Most freelancers go from feast to famine often because they market real quick so they can get some clients, and then they're so busy over here working with the clients that they're not marketing, and so then that is drying up, right? So you just have to. So if you are a freelancer, you want to get your clients before you leave the country, okay? And you want to make sure you build your lead funnel so that they're in your marketing, so they're still coming in while you are working. That is going to be done through tech. Okay, all of that. You don't need to hire someone to do it. You can do it all with various forms of software that you marry together. Okay, so don't get stressed out on that. The third is the entrepreneur. Okay, and this is someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, but they haven't yet made that jump yet. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to be real in where you are in this stage. Okay, so for those individuals, I want you to focus on activities that bring in money. Because with a lot of people who want to start a business, they'll get and for those of you who know me and y'all been over my channel, y'all know I say this all the time. They focus on things that don't turn into money, and then they get burnt out on all those other activities. So they're like, my website got to be perfect. My logo got to be wonderful. And nobody's saying I'm not going to work with this person because I don't like their logo. No one's saying that unless you design logos.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay? Unless you design logos, no one is judging you based on those things. You don't even have to have a website to get clients. That's not a thing, but you can get so obsessed about it because you're not sure what type of steps you should take first. And all of this feels like work. So you go do it. But then after, 2 months, you're still not making any money, and you're frustrated and you're wondering why. And it's just because you're not focusing on making those relationships, finding out what the problem is, finding out what the need is, and letting people know you know how to do it. Your whole goal is letting people know that you know how to solve their problem, whatever that may be in the industry. And so hopefully we'll take questions at the end to see if we can pull that out of people so they can identify that. And the last one is the entrepreneur. Now, the entrepreneur, you are used to being self-employed. And what I want you to think about are the various other income streams that you can create outside of the main service that you offer. So for example, if you do, I don't know how I give horrible examples off my head. If you're a landscaper person, you do landscape, right? So your main service is you do landscape, but there is a population of people that will never you'll never be able to work on their yard. Like you have to physically be there, right?
Right.
But consider this. Consider that you are using content, you're using distribution channels like YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever, to give out information of how the homeowner can do some of this stuff themselves. Like you are the expert in this field. What can they do when they're transitioning to winter flowers or shrubbery? I don't know, because I don't know about that, but you know that in your industry. And so you can educate them and create that into a digital product, because some people will still like you, but just can't work with you. Either they can't afford you or you're not even in their state. So creating digital product that can still solve the problem of your client, that's just one piece, okay? So now, okay, still use an example of the landscaper. There's probably products that you use that you can become an affiliate of. So there's products that you've been using in people's yard that you know that works. Contact that company and they can either sponsor you or they have some type of affiliate. So that's two. So you have your main service, you have your e-products, you have your affiliates, right? And so whether there's conferences, there's so many other things you can do in addition to your main service. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we just stay in that one lane and don't try to do all of it at the same
At
time.
once.
Yes. But just get the your scaling, get the right tech, the updated tech into your current way you do business. And if anything you want to focus your tech on, it needs to be lead generation and it needs to be customer satisfaction. Like focus your tech at least on those two things, right? And even with AI and in various forms of generative AI, you can do a lot of your customer service as a one-person shop and do it very well, okay? So again, remote, freelancer, entrepreneur, find out where you fall in those categories and take the necessary steps. Does that make sense? We good on that? I'm looking at the chat. Okay.
You're dropping jewels. Anita says, to show that Cinnamon is a fountain of information. Yes, she is.
Thank you.
You know when somebody knows they stuff, right? There's no hesitation.
Thank you.
So I've been taking notes as well. And I'm going to go back. So you said create an online brand.
Yes.
For those who have no idea what you're talking about, can we break that down a little bit?
Yes, that's a really good question. And so I'm going to say this. Don't think you have to be an expert in something. Think about a problem that you have in your industry or something that you want to learn how to do. Like for me, the Driven Spice brand was created because I was moving to Portugal and I didn't know how to do it. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And I just happened to share that. So you can do things like build in public. You know what I'm saying? So if there's like a software, let's just make a basic example. Let's say I just heard this morning that Adobe came out with adding AI into their Photoshop and things like that. So if you wanted to get more educated on it, you could literally just do tutorials of you learning it, and you'll instance be teaching someone else, and then you slowly start to create a community. When you build in public, it's almost impossible not to create a community. Okay. But the online brand, if you want to do something basic like a LinkedIn, if you are like a director of HR or you are a nurse, whatever your profession is, there's a large population of people who don't know anything about any of that. So again, when you are sharing your think pieces or maybe some steps that you do to solve X, Y, and Z, you have to think about who your audience is and what are the problems they face. And then how can you, with your strategies and your expertise, solve that problem and write about it, share it, talk about it. And then people start, and they get it and they associate you with the solution in this industry. And that is how you build an online brand. You can build an online brand on whatever you want to, but it's going to be more and more necessary if you want to put the ball in your court. If you want to say, I want to determine who I work with and how much I get paid. Yeah. If no one knows about you, it's impossible to do that. And so again, I know a lot of people don't want to be on camera, but you can write about it. You can write a whole blog article on how X, Y, and Z is facing the industry right now. These are some things people should consider. Yeah. And just continue to put the content out there. So whether, again, you in the remote category and you want to work for a corporation, you can give that corporation, here's some, thought pieces that I've created. Don't you think that's going to make you more attractive than the other person who didn't do that? So whether you want to work with a company or you want to be on your own, an online brand is going to be critical. And for those of us who are in tech, it's damn near required. So I really encourage people to think about the industry you're in, or something you want to learn, or a problem that you're solving and you end up solving it. How'd you do it? How are you doing it?
Yeah.
And share that. And that's basically what your online brand would be.
And I would say I'm going to add on to that, that you should be consistent with the voice.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are trying to attract people, or you want to become known as the person who solves this problem, it's probably not going to be a good idea to then start talking about learning to sew jeans.
Yes.
If what you're doing is a more creative way to go about HR, let's just say. All right?
Yes. Yeah. And to piggyback off of that, you guys got to remember that the internet is controlled by algorithms and keywords and that type of thing. So the algorithms won't really know what your content is about until you keep creating content within that area. Mm-hmm. That's just how all of the platforms work. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you are all over the place and you're not getting results, it's because even the AI, not the AI, but even the algorithms, like, I don't know what she talking about. Like, I can't figure out
or who she's talking to.
Yeah. I don't even know who to suggest this to, because I don't even know. And of course, their whole goal is to make money. You brought people to the platform so they can show them ads so that, they can make money. So it needs to be clear that, okay, this person, I can count on them to continue to bring in money for me. And I can make sure that the person who is interested in information can find more information that they like with them.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one of the metrics of engagement, that once someone watch your video and they go and watch more videos, all the algorithms are paying attention to that.
Yep.
And then that's how you see people start showing up that you didn't subscribe for them, but their face keep popping up all over the internet. All of that is because of the engagement that they gave. So if you're going to do it, make it clear to robots that this is what your content is about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who you are and what you're talking about. And then also on LinkedIn, there are groups, just like there's Facebook groups, but there's groups around professional subject matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it helpful to go in and add to those conversations as well, So I'm tapping into other people's audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me.
Mm-hmm.
I know some stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But trying to be helpful, not trying to sell, because you don't want to be going into other people's space.
Selling on their stuff.
You don't want to do their stuff. Come do my stuff.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So that's lovely. And I think I realized that Indeed had a filter for remote. I figured that out during the pandemic when I was like, I need a new job.
Mm-hmm.
These people about to drive me crazy. Okay. So where you are, because I saw some people have come in late. So what we're talking about is making money online. Cinnamon from Driven Spice has broken it down to asking yourself where you are as far as your experience with gaining your own audience, getting your own customers, and doing what you need to do to keep that money flowing. Mm-hmm. So she's broken it down. If you want to move abroad sooner than later, then maybe your first step is to find a 100% remote job. And with that comes creating an online brand, so that when people see you or your name pops up and they Google you, because let me tell you, they Google you, stuff comes up that you want them to come up, and not the picture with you with the red cup from college. That's not what you want. You don't want that. The second one is freelance. So these are people. A freelancer could have a job, but also be doing some consulting on the side if they don't have any kind of, what do you call it when you can't compete, non-compete. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they're doing it in something totally different. Mm-hmm. Because when I was working at the venture capital firm, we were doing video production on the side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the easiest, just to jump in really quickly, that's the easiest place for people to start. Because basically you need a $14 software just to keep everything organized, and maybe an email marketing software. So we're talking about that for that business. As far as tech, it won't cost more than $50 a month. And you just need to get your clients before you leave, make it very clear what you're doing for your clients. I would recommend you do packages and opposed to hourly. That's going to be a transition
Mm.
for some people. Okay. Really consider packages versus hourly, because the problem is what a lot of freelancers do, they will hear what the client's needs are and then they try to create a customized solution for every single client, and you can't scale that way, folks. You can't. You
Right.
can't. You can't scale that way, okay? Because it is always going to depend on how many hours you have in your day, and there's a limit for you. So consider your packages and figure out what those will be based on the services you know how to provide and how you're helping your potential client, okay? That's going to be your key if you want to go full-time. For those of you who are freelancing part-time, think less hourly, because you're going to be in a mindset that's not going to help you like build at all, okay? And then in that, you want to be the best of the best so you can continue to raise those prices, okay? So when you're solving those big problems, you get paid bigger checks. So if you're freelancing, whether it's part-time or full-time, make sure that you got the tech so that your leads are coming in and you're still getting your marketing going, but more importantly, you're creating a pricing structure that is effective for you to grow. And
So yeah, so for instance, when we were doing video production, and we're talking about like doing a commercial, we had we had prices for post production, and we had prices for production, and then we had prices for the whole thing, and they weren't hourly, so it was based upon the finished product. So if somebody wanted a 30-second commercial, then here's the price, right? If it's a 30-second commercial shot in Denver, because that's where we were at, it's this price. Otherwise, you're going to pay for some travel and some this or some that,
costs,
right?
And everything else. Yeah.
For post production, if somebody wanted to send us something, the package was, I can't remember. This is a long time ago, but I'm just going to say $200 per edited second. So if you want a 30-second commercial, do the math. That's what it's going to cost. That's what it's going to cost. So we had those packages out and put out. Now, I'm going to say sometimes the 30-second commercial would take longer than we anticipated, or than the last 2 or 3 took us to produce and edit.
Yeah.
So you learn. But people don't like to get surprised.
Right.
with an extra invoice at the end.
Extra couple $1,000.
When we're saying, oh yeah, it's gonna take about 10 hours and at $100 an hour. So $1,000 or whatever. I think I did the math right on that.
Right.
And then it ends up taking you 15 hours. I know.
Right. So you definitely have to price yourself real. But even going with your example, even if someone wanted to create, even if, when you guys were in Colorado, to even create another service that could be monthly, like a subscription service, like, okay, if you pay this X amount per month, you can have, depending on what the industry is. So I worked a lot with cosmetic dentists and plastic surgeons. And so for something like, they always need content to go on their Instagram or to go on their LinkedIn or whatever. So it's like, okay, for this monthly service, we can be responsible for doing production for your social network so that's always fresh and engaging with new information. So that's what I'm saying about having your main business and having all of these added spaces that could ease in that section, that package. You could probably outsource that out to a whole nother smaller company to do that. And then you can make that, because companies want to feel like if they're not big enough to have their own production company, how great does it feel to the company be like, I just show up, say a little something, and I know they're going to take care of it. And I got content, for the rest of the month or for the rest of the quarter. So think about, the entrepreneurs who are listening to this, what other skills, especially now as people's discretionary income is getting ready to change and companies are downsizing. Think about how you can add additional service that could, do a subscription service that could take some things off of their plate. And now is the environment that is much easier to do now than it probably has ever been.
Oh, definitely. Because when we were doing some of this stuff, video on social was still not a thing. This is a long time ago. This was a long time ago. I mean, when we first started, we're talking about 2002, 2003. There was no Facebook back in those days. But in the later days, and I never thought of a subscription model, so it's brilliant.
And
Okay.
people listen, think about, if you're in business, think about how you could potentially do that in your business. Like, think about how you can have, like, a high-end package, a low-end package, a middle package, and what you can potentially, because it's a lot easier for people who've already spent money with you to spend more money with you.
Right.
Your cost of acquiring a new customer is substantially more expensive. It's pennies on the dollar as to, people who already know you, like your work, and wanting to work with you. You just got to give them some services. And if you don't, they don't know.
Yeah. They
Then
know.
they're gonna go someplace
They want me
else.
back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're gonna go someplace else. I wish,
Absolutely.
I wish baby girl could do it, but okay. So that's freelancing. You talked about building your lead funnel. If you're a freelancer, you know how to build your lead funnel, and or you're so busy doing the project that you're not building your lead funnel. What's a lead funnel?
So it's basically kind of like what it sounds like. So when people meet you for the first time, or meet your business for the first time, they may not necessarily be are ready to execute. Okay. So you can use things like content and education marketing, content marketing, to get people into the top of the funnel. Right. And then you start to hone in like any funnel, and then you come out with your customers. And that is a type of a process that you want to run 24 hours, 7 days a week. And that is not just your website, folks, because most people go to a website and they never return. Okay. So you definitely want to, if you are simply using your website, you want to put, without getting too technical, you want to put a little bit of code in the back end so that you can tell all of the internet that you all have a relationship, because it's cheaper if you decide to do ads. It's substantially cheaper to reach an audience that there's already a relationship versus a new audience. And cookies and things on the back in your website is what shows the internet that you all have met before. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So putting that in your website, but in addition to having your email list is so critical. If you don't hear anything else I say, you can literally just run a business just with an email list. You can literally just be on social media, give value, direct them to your email list, have them sign up, and communicate one-on-one with them there. You don't never have to have a website if you don't want to. Hear me when I say this, especially those who you just consulting. You don't ever have to have a website you want. I don't recommend it. But if you want it to be just as low tech as possible, you can run a business with just Stripe and email marketing software. But ultimately, I don't know if I answered your question, but the funnel is just where you put all the people who may potentially be interested at the top end to start to go through the nurture process with you so that they become customers. And again, that is a process you want to go 24/7, 7 days a week, so that it will drive into finally talking to you when they're ready to execute.
So let me tell you what I learned from Cinnamon, because I'm a little bit older and some of this technology. I've been on Calendly since 2015 because someone in their 20s said, "Here, I'll just send you a link to my calendar." And I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I need this. I need to look like this." So I got grandfathered into a very, very good price. So I'm happy about that. But you said one thing. This was before we launched YouTube. So I was getting ready, and I told you I had an email list of 5,000 people.
I remember that question.
From politics.
I remember that.
I think maybe out of that 5,000 people list, I transported 200.
A couple hundred.
To our new software. But hey,
it's okay. It's better than zero.
Right?
Yeah.
So the other thing that you did, two other things that you told me. One, you don't own YouTube, you don't own Facebook. Get them off of that platform and into your email list.
Absolutely.
And then the third thing is automate it. And so I have used email marketing software since 2011. I did my first drip campaign after you. After I took your workshop.
That makes me happy.
And that was what, early last year or late 2021, something like that.
Yeah.
I saw that drip thing on my email. I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm just going to do what I know how to do. I'm going to do what I know how to do.
Yeah.
But Okay, folks, let me just explain to you why this is gold.
Mhm.
Because first of all, I have a snarky sense of humor. I don't AI my stuff. I write that stuff myself, but I looked through, so I created a lead magnet. Our lead magnet is the Ready to Retire Toolkit. You can get that in the description below if you have not already gotten it. And it comes with a series of emails to walk you through the workbook. And so that's the beginning of our funnel.
Mhm.
And I am not making fun of you if you have done this, beloveds, but people email me and say, "Oh, thank you, Halisi, for checking in on me."
Mhm.
And that comes to our email address, and I will answer you
Mhm.
with a personalized message and give you some nuggets that I have, or a attaboy or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, people really, it works. It works, and it builds relationships, and it builds a community. And so thank you for that. But I'm telling you guys that because this is all part of the funnel that you need to start
Mhm.
building
To build, yeah.
your business. And
Yes.
I had never heard of, I went to business school. I have an MBA. I had never heard of a lead.
Well, they don't teach any of that, Dan.
They don't. And I went for entrepreneurship.
Yeah. They're not
And
teaching it.
of course, this was quite a while ago, back in the early 2000s. So a lot of this stuff did not exist back in those days as well. But yeah, I had never heard of a lead magnet.
Mhm.
Now I understand the concept, of
Right.
course,
Right.
but if somebody says a lead magnet and you don't understand the terminology,
Yeah.
then, and this is a freebie, this is free information about the thing that you know, so that you are not just selling, you are also educating,
Mhm.
and people can come to trust you.
Mhm.
Is that
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna look for the code and see if it's at the back of my website, so that the algorithms, the gods of the algorithms, know who loves us. Okay, so we got remote jobs, then freelance, and then number 3 was a wantapreneur.
Mhm.
Entrepreneur.
Mhm.
I like that.
Mhm.
Entrepreneur.
That is not my word. I did not coin that. So I can't take credit for that. But yeah.
I was gonna give you all the credit.
Don't give me the credit at all.
I was gonna give you all the credit.
Not deserved.
So a wantapreneur. And that sounds like so a wannabe, that's too harsh. And I don't think it's that. I think it's someone who is on the road to being an entrepreneur, but is putting their energies in the wrong place. Hey, Rui, June is off the hook. It is so much fun here with the street parties. But anyway, so they're putting all of their energies into activities that are not bringing in the money, right?
Yes.
So instead of focusing on a website, they should be focusing on
how to solve a problem, who their audience is going to be, the problems their audience has, and how your specific expertise will assist with that. Because everyone does things differently, right? Like the way I do digital marketing, or the questions that I ask, or the things that I consider are going to be completely different than someone else, right? But you wouldn't know that if I don't give you content or information or anything like that that shows you how I think during my process. So even if you're a nurse, and there's zillions of nurses here, talk about like what specific nurse are you, and what are some of the symptoms, like based on the type of patients that you have, what are some of the symptoms, and how do you what is something that their loved ones can do for them at home, like all, and just think about, just get a piece of paper and just vomit out of your head like all of this information that based on your industry. And then now it's time to put it in such a way that it's understandable to someone who has no idea what they're doing, because that is what people are looking for. And in a world where there's just so much information out here, you have to get through that to get to your potential customer. And that's why we're talking about these stages, not to make anyone feel bad. Like, being a wantrepreneur is not a problem. You just got to recognize that that's the state that you're in, so that you can operate accordingly. But if you've tried things and it's not working, or you've done all these things and it's not working, then you got to say, okay, did you think about the customer at all? I know you think about your website, I know you think about your logo. Did you think about the customer at all? And so that may be why you're not closing and why you're focusing on activities that's not going to necessarily turn into money. So really consider just understanding, writing those questions down, and even asking some of your friends, like, what do you think that I do well, that I'm good at? And maybe it's, you explain concepts very easily, or maybe you're hilarious, or maybe just think about, add your personal spin to whatever the industry is that you're in, because that is what makes you an individual, and that's what makes you stand out in an oversaturated internet market. Like, bring your personality to the table based
Right.
on what you know how to do. Even if you
Make-
don't know how to do it,
Right.
learn it and still put your own spin on it. If you're embarking on something new, share that as well. You don't have to be an expert. Don't ever think that you have to be an expert to start a business, y'all.
So two of the things is what I got is pretty much get out of your own way, because we tend to do that a whole lot. And anything and everything you do isn't going to be the perfect thing, but whatever you do, own it.
Mm-hmm.
Make
sure.
it yours. Make it
For
yours.
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be perfect at something you're never done. That's impossible, folks. Like, I know people, I'm a perfectionist, but you didn't accomplish nothing. Like, go ahead and just do the
Yeah,
thing.
perfectionist. Yeah.
Like, go ahead and do it, because you cannot be perfect. The only way that you can be better at some things, because when you're talking to someone, you can tell the difference between somebody who's just saying something on the internet and somebody who know what they're doing. Immediately, you could tell. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, just put it out there. Put it out there. Like, just set a goal, put it out there, and just know that everything you do from this point on is going to be practice, and you're going to get better and better and better and better. And that is your road to perfection, not you just starting. Okay.
We've got some people who are in the audience who were with us from day one, like Professor LCH.
There we
When we
go.
were having them sound issues, and it was, like, and so a friend of mine, Stephanie Perry, and a mentor,
Oh, yeah, Stephanie. Yeah.
she said, first, practice in public.
Mm-hmm.
And so she just did a video a couple of weeks ago and said 2004 Beyonce was practicing to be 2023 Beyonce. 2004 Beyonce was not the opening act. She was just part of a crew, right? And so all of that stuff she was doing in public to become the Beyonce that she is today. So don't be afraid to be who you are today. You just have to be one or two steps ahead of your audience.
Absolutely.
Because
and transparent. Don't be out there talking like you know
Yes.
everything and you don't.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna set yourself up out here looking crazy.
Looking crazy.
If it's new to you, share that with your people.
and and I think, and so you guys, us, that we didn't have our money stuff together just 5 years ago. I was still buying Coach bags. Heck, I was still buying Coach bags 3 years ago. And the last time I went to the DMV, and I had my Coach bag, and the lady's like, "Oh, that's a nice Coach bag." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. This is the last one. I will not be spending my money like this anymore." And she's like, "We'll see." I'm like, "Yeah, we'll see," because I'm on my way to Portugal, and I ain't got no time to be spending money trying to impress people I don't like. So, but it took us a minute, right? And we went through that with y'all. Y'all saw us do all of this stuff on air, make all the mistakes, and we're still making them in public. And you hung with us. You hung with us. So how to solve a problem? Who's your audience? What problems do they need solved? What are some inexpensive ways to do that marketing research?
Well, you can start off with just Google, right? So you can find out what the problems that your audience potentially face, and see what content is already out there and what content is coming up at the top of search results, right? Just find out what are those topics, what are those titles, and start to think about that, and that will give you an idea of what's popular. There's another free tool called Keywords Everywhere that you can download. It's a Google Chrome extension, and that will give you some insight as to at least what people are searching for on the internet. Okay. And you could see some numbers that way. So that way, when you're creating some content, you have some idea of the keywords that people are using when they're searching. And then for that, you can make sure that those keywords are incorporated in the content that you put out, whether that's video or whether that's written, right? Am I frozen? Am I good?
You're good. You're
Okay,
good.
okay. So just find out those keywords. And every time you create content, you're going to make sure you do one keyword per piece of content. Okay, so don't try to stuff a bunch of different keywords. Just figure out what keywords you want to focus on and make the content specific to that one keyword and focus on that. So those types of ways, you'll start to create a database of key terms that people who are searching for the solution to a problem tend to use. And so then when you think about it, now you have, instead of just 2 articles with keywords that are related to solving that problem, now you have 10, now you have 20, and you have this compounding effect of then allowing all the internet to understand, okay, this is what about when these people are asking for these questions, let me send them here. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
so start with researching just think about your customer, your potential client at the time. Like what would they search for if they needed someone like me? What are some of their problems? What are some of those questions?
Right.
And that way, when you're creating content that's really answering questions. And so then that's building the trust, and it's allowing people, you can convert a lot easier and a lot quicker when someone's like, dang, I feel like, she talking to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So keywords everywhere. I put that in the chat, y'all. And if you have a question for Cinnamon, put a Q in front of it. We are talking money. We're talking about starting your own business, whether you want to grow it to something, or this is just going to be a side hustle that turns into a full-time hustle so that you can generate extra income. We always talk about diversity as far as our investments are concerned, but I think there needs to be diversity in income streams.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I have been laid off of every single job I've had, which is probably why I've always had a side hustle. Because I've always been late. I don't know what these people are doing, but it's like, the black girl. Go ahead, lay her off first. So, and so the side hustle has made it so that we didn't miss a beat. Mortgage got paid, et cetera, et cetera. Now we can start growing that into is there such thing called a retirepreneur?
Hey, there it is. I say coin it. I say coin it. Do it. Absolutely.
Because I'm talking about we do a little bit of work every day. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm addicted to seeing what you guys are talking about. If you stop commenting, if you are watching from the future, hey, say hello. Let us know where you're logging in from. And if you've got a question, we will check it for the first few days. I will send some questions. I will I answer every single comment, even if it's go over to Driven Spice and ask her. I'm going to let you know what needs to be done. So, okay.
I just want to respond to Bill. Bill said, I wish I had some of Sin's confidence to put myself out there. Bill, it was not always like that. Okay. So that's why I'm saying you just got to execute, you know what I'm saying? Don't expect your first whatever to be grand and wonderful. But Bill, there's going to be someone looking at you, even on the very first day you do it, and be like, dang, I wish I had the courage to be like Bill. You know what I mean? Yeah. So do not think that, and I think that's part of the hard thing about social media, is that you see all these people and you're looking at them from the back end of years of experience. You know what I mean? And then you forget that, or you don't know, or you don't consider that they've probably been doing this for a while or what have you. And then you judge yourself based on the intro level and may get frustrated or insecure or whatever. And I'm just like, listen, get out of there, because you are going to inspire somebody else. But thank you, but it's going to be the same for you too, Bill.
Yeah.
You just go out there and make it up.
It really is. It really, truly is.
I'm going to ask you a question about that, but confidence, Bill, comes from doing the thing.
Just
doing the thing even when you are fearful, because the bottom line is anybody who's going to judge you is probably not paying your bills
and ain't doing it. They're not doing
it. Not at all.
They have so much opinion about something they have never done, and you just got to shake it off. Trust. Woo.
Seriously. So Rick didn't want to do YouTube.
No, I didn't.
And you convinced
I,
them. Look at you. Look
I
at
didn't.
you.
I didn't want to do it.
Why?
I just felt you could do it. You're the star. I didn't want. I
I
wanted to
love you
be.
too, baby.
I wanted to be in the background. It's like, yeah,
And did you have the confidence when we did that first one? Did you have the confidence?
no, oh no,
Now look at you.
I don't think so. I mean, I've been in the entertainment industry, but it was different. Now I'm sitting here with my wife, and we've talked about doing different things together, doing documentaries and stuff. But when we shot commercials and stuff, I was more the supporting staff. You were more the brains, and seeing how you wanted things done, and I knew how to make it look, being the videographer of it, and I was
You,
always
s-
in the background,
you
and I
see
was
why I
good
love
to be
him?
in the background. It wasn't that I was scared or anything like that, but I was good being in the background,
Yeah,
being
no,
the
I get it.
support.
I
But
get
he
it.
was lead singer on stage. So, okay. But singing is different than talking and doing the thing. So
Yeah,
when did you get confident on YouTube?
it just I got confident before we left Denver.
Okay. So that's like after we launched March 20th, we left Denver June 4th. No, May 4th.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. So like after 8 to 10 lives.
Yeah, I think after we talked to Adelia, I kind of felt a little comfortable, even though it was kind of screwy. And it's like, okay, but I figured it out, and
Okay.
and then I felt more comfortable with seeing things and seeing reactions, talking to people, seeing people in the chat, and it's like, okay, then it's like have fun. So now I look forward to it.
See? See,
Yeah,
Bill?
Bill, it's
You got
Yes.
you know what,
this.
Bill?
You
I
got
always
it.
say it doesn't hurt.
It
No,
really
and you're
It
not
doesn't.
gonna
don't
die.
hurt.
Like if you're not gonna like my little sister, I would always try to make her do things, and she'll say, "Why did we?" I said, "But did you die? But did you die though?"
Yeah,
And she's like, "No, I
yeah.
didn't die." I said, "Okay, then keep it moving. Let's go." You know what I mean? Can I address some of the questions that are
Yeah,
in the chat?
absolutely. Because you're obviously seeing more than I'm seeing.
So Mary, what code you said needs to be on the back
Oh,
end
here
of
we
your web?
go.
So this is basically just cookies. So you can use Google Tag Manager is a great place to kind of stick all the code you may have. So you may have code for a variety of reasons. You may need a Facebook pixel. You may need Google Analytics. You may need all these you will need all these things in the back end of your website. So if you Google Tag Manager, that's the best place to stick all of the code coming from the various places. So various online companies have a pixel. Facebook has its own pixel. Google, you can create your own audiences inside of Google Analytics. And so it will tell you if someone from YouTube or Google or whatever, but that goes into the back end of your website. So what Google Tag Manager does is it gives a simple code, and you can make separate buckets for each one of these places, and it will analyze that. I hope I didn't go too tech, but yeah. So when I say code, I'm talking about Google Tag Manager. Facebook Pixel is one, Google Audience is one. It just depends. You're gonna put a whole bunch of them. It's not just one code, but Google Analytics and all of that. So I hope that makes sense. And can you share an email list platform? So okay, so
Tell them like it is with MailChimp. Tell it like it is.
I'll say this. Companies in which free people can sign up for an account, you want to be weary because even scammers can sign up for a set account. And what's important about an email marketing software is its deliverability. If it never gets to your client, then it's irrelevant, right? So certain companies, their deliverability is not that great because a scammer can sign up for the same service as your free self did, and now they're out here doing stuff on that same IP domain life, okay? And that's not what you want. So when you pick an email marketing platform, what I use is full disclosure Active Campaign, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not the easiest for someone who does not know what they're doing because they put automation is with that, and that's what I use the software for. Okay, if you are new to this, I would probably recommend ConvertKit.
Kit.
Yeah, ConvertKit is pretty user friendly if you haven't, and it's very affordable. But if you were scaling and you were going on some big level, I would recommend Active Campaign on that. How would you create passive income? Okay, so Peggy, love you, hon, but that's a very general question. So we need a little bit more information from you to be able to answer that. So passive income can come in a variety of different ways. It can be investments. It could be, yeah. So if you specifically have an industry or something that you're doing and you want to ask specific to you, then ask that question and we could probably help you there. Ray, what online courses can you take online? Let's say if you have no experience, don't require a degree, where you are guaranteed to work remotely abroad. Come on, guaranteed to work remotely abroad.
There's no guarantee.
No guarantee.
This is what I would say to you, right? Because even so in 2008 with that recession, that's why I'm so annoyingly perceptive about the recession that's going to go on, because I had my ass handed to me on the last recession. But when I was initially in real estate and a lot of, government contracted that required me to be there. And so when I lost everything and I knew I wanted to start my life over and make it more intentional, I started to think about the positions that didn't require me to be there. And then the positions that would survive even in a down economy. So every business wants to know how to make more money or get more customers. Every single one, it doesn't matter what industry they're in. So then I said, I didn't have any experience in digital marketing at the time. So I said, I got to learn this. I have to figure out, how do I help companies get more clients online? So here's the thing, Ray. You have to figure out what industry you want to be in, and then or in industries that could feed into you not necessarily having to be there. So cloud engineering is one. Anything digital marketing is another, because it's all online. Your client doesn't necessarily have to see you in their cubicle, but you have to take the initiative to find out what skill you like. No one can tell you that, hun. So you have to figure out, start playing around with these various virtual types of things and see which one interests you. And then if it's something related to digital marketing, Google has so much information that is free. Like, they have a lot of their classes, a lot of their stuff on digital marketing. They have a whole suite on artificial intelligence and learning language models that they're coming out with now. Cloud computing, that's free information from a lot of things. So think about the industries that don't require someone to physically be there. So if you want to do real estate, naturally, you got to be there. You can't just be doing it everywhere, right? So think about those industries, but no one, and don't go to anyone on YouTube trying to tell you this the way to make money. It's not reasonable, especially if people don't know anything about you and your capabilities or what you're interested in or anything like that. So find out, dibble and dabble in the tech space a little bit and find out what looks good to you or what you like now. Like, if you could tell us now what you enjoy, I can help you try to work that out, but we can't give you a generic answer on that. Sorry, Love Heart.
And I just want to add on to that. So, Ray, almost every single profession may have a remote opportunity. Even like an accountant may have a remote opportunity, right, where they do not require you to be in a cubicle. So, but yeah, there's no guarantees. And then Peggy, I want to get back to that for a second. So if you're talking within the scope of what we're talking about today, I think the first thing that comes to my mind, and see, the thing that we're talking about, none of it's going to be 100% passive. You got to do some work, and then there's going to be some passive.
Absolutely.
So you got to build an audience, create a course, launch the course, and do some marketing around it. And then as it starts to build steam and word of mouth, then it becomes some passive income. But you still got to keep that marketing funnel going. The only ones that I know that kind of sell themselves, with word of mouth, though, is like how to prepare for the LSAT, so how to prepare for the MCAT, things like that, there's always going to be people who need to prepare for these tests. But anything that is really like our Beyond the Bling, Money Mindset Makeover, financial independence, there's a lot of fire courses out there.
Yeah.
And it is passive right now, but I put in a boatload of work. A boatload of work, creating those videos, creating the workbooks, creating, the other content. So,
passive income is a misnomer. It really is non-existent. And I think it's a buzzword that I think people hear and get, unfortunately, bamboozled on a lot of stuff, because you have to do the work. And then how passive is it really? And I don't know if because the word passive is used, people think that you don't have to do the initial work. But I know people search for passive income. But again, just like everything else, you can't give a general answer to that. Like, what's passive income for me is not going to be passive income for someone else,
Right.
especially if they don't know how to do a series of things that I may know how to do, and vice versa. So I would say concentrate less on that and more on how can I provide value to the world. Like, I think some people get
Yes.
so caught up on, oh, if I make this amount and this amount, like, but literally, if you concentrate on how you're going to provide value to the world,
The money will
then
come.
and it sounds so cliche. I know people hate hearing that. I know I did, but it's absolutely true, because if you're not communicating and finding out what people need, if somebody wants to walk away with this, I try to give people something they can walk away with. If you're going to walk away with something, I want you to think about who you potentially can help, right? And then now determine, how can I show them that I can help them? All right. And just get an email list, just email marketing software. And I want you to start communicating with people, at least the first 50 to 100 people, and talk to them, have a conversation with them, see where they're stuck. Okay. And then if you are good at what you do, you'll be able to fix their problem. Like, somebody can ask me a question right now and I could probably work it out for you, just because I've been doing it for 25 years, but whatever it is, and people can pull that out of you and you can answer it and you can help them, but you got to know where they struggle at. So if you guys ask like a specific question, like, and you tell us what your industry is and what you've been doing, if you want to do that now, like, just give us that information so that we can say, okay, boom, you can do this, 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 and that. But if you don't give us any information on you as a person and what your capabilities are and what you know how to do and what your goals are, you can't get a good answer. And I want to leave here with you guys getting some answers.
Definitely. So there are 196.7 of you guys watching or so. We want 197 likes up in here. You guys hit the like button. Hit the like button. If this information is on point, please.
We dropping diamonds on you here. Come on now.
Yeah. Glad you decided to join your wife on YouTube. Aw.
Me too.
It's good to see a man's perspective, and you guys are beautiful. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Miss Kay.
Okay, so we got Regina's asking a question. Okay, she says, I'm a trader and I believe I do trade as well. I keep metrics under my underling. I'm considering, she's at the very bottom. I'm considering showing via YouTube how to do advanced design sheets geared toward traders' thoughts. That's a good question.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the others.
Okay, so Regina, here's the thing. I think it's a personal thing. Like, I know people want me to talk about trading, and I get nervous about that because just in me talking about travel and moving to Portugal, how do I say this? So people who don't necessarily think things through are still going to have access to your content, right? And sometimes said people will make decisions that they didn't think through. Okay. Does that make sense? So if you personally feel comfortable knowing that's the case and developing something you probably are creating something for people like you. And I get it, because I felt like that's what I thought I was doing. But because things with money, people, it's very emotional for people, right? And you guys know that because you're dealing with people with money. And some people, you got a group of people who probably think things through and have access to content and do stuff with it. And then there's a population of people who may not think things through all the way, right? And then you got to decide if you feel like dealing with the responsibility that may or may not come with that. So for me personally, as it relates to trading, it is something that you got to know a lot of some things about to do it well. And some people just hear that people are making money trading and they don't want to get educated. And then so you already know they're not going to do what they need to do to be successful at it. Right. And so for me personally, I can't do it just because I see just what happened with, traveling abroad, keeping the metrics on my underling. Okay, I'm considering starting a YouTube channel. How do I advance design on sheets geared toward traders' thoughts? I don't really feel like I understand your question when you're saying advance the design of sheets geared toward traders' thoughts. I don't use sheets to trade, so I'm not sure if I'm clear on what you're saying, but whatever it is, I think you have to be very specific on the type of trader that you're talking about, because as you know, as traders, a very active situation, and even what they're trading, whether they're trading stocks or versus options versus, you know, in indices specifically or things like that. So I think getting a little bit more specific in the audience and finding out what the trader needs, because you can go, and this is why I want you guys to build an audience first. You can go and think you have an idea as to what people may want, and you ain't talked to nobody, right? So then you go in this hole in this closet and you go make product and services that didn't nobody ask you for, and now you wonder why nobody's buying it. So what I want you to do is build the audience first on what you
Yes.
already know how to do. Give the information, then you'll start hearing questions, because you may create something that's so high level that they weren't even ready for that, right? And they didn't get the steps and all that other stuff. So I would say create the platform first. Just come out there with education on what you do and how you want to do it. If you want to do it, Regina, if you want, we could talk about this offline, because but create the platform on what you already know how to do. Build the audience. You're going to hear the questions, and then you create content and product from the questions that you're getting from that current audience. That's how you sell out immediately, right? But as it relates to trading and stocks, you got it's a population that comes with that you got to decide if, okay, I don't want to talk about trading. So, okay, I think a creative Excel sheet for traders to use. Okay, what is this Excel sheet going to do that we may not already use it for?
Right.
Okay, so say what problem do you feel like traders have
that you're solving for?
Excel sheet? Yeah, that we would need an Excel sheet, because I don't use an Excel sheet. So if there's a way there's a way that you trade specifically, then an Excel sheet is necessary for the way that you trade, because it could be that we just trade differently, most likely, right? So you got to be very specific in how do you trade, and then what does that is that me or okay?
We've got a party going on here.
Well, I was like, I didn't know if it was my people or your people. Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's
probably ours.
Yep. It's June, y'all.
They loud.
No worries.
They got their liquor in it.
I just, again, for however you trade, the traders who trade like you trade may need an Excel sheet, right? And so you got to be very clear, because you want that specific audience, because not all traders need an Excel sheet. So for however you do it, make sure that it works for, you know, those people. I hope that makes sense. Doing so much trade. Okay, I think, did we answer those questions?
I think what I heard you say is that people moved abroad based upon your YouTube videos and got out here in these streets and didn't have their stuff together. I think that's what I heard you say.
Is that what you heard me say? I feel like I say that.
I heard something about thinking things through and moving abroad, and I want to say that. And
I try to be really conscious when I'm saying that. Not really, sometimes. So, again, this is just something I didn't know. You know, when I was creating content initially, I thought I was creating content for people like me. You know what I mean? And I think, for the most part, people who think things through, they're quiet. Like you probably may hang around post like, oh, this was helpful, and then they kept it moving. You know what I'm saying? And then there's a population of people who still have, you know, access to the internet, and sometimes they aren't thinking things through. And so now I'm terrified for them, like, baby, wait, what? You know? And it's made me feel a certain kind of way. It's made me really I held back on creating content, because I was like, dang, I hope I'm not contributing to this glamorizing of, I'm a chick who decided what I wanted to do, and I'm sharing that story with you. You can rock with it or not, but I'm definitely not telling you to do it. If you want to do it, and if I have some information that can help you, by all means, have it. But I'm not encouraging you to do something for you, because we strangers, y'all. We internet strangers. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you need. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say, I've been following you for a long time, and I know what you're talking about, the IG glamorization of a digital life, a digital nomad life, or a move abroad life, or this or that and the other. And I never got that from you.
Well, good.
I never got that from you. It was like, I had this stuff figured out, and you probably shouldn't do it the way I did it. But let me tell you how this went down. That's what I got. And what it did was it made me think of questions. Okay, so this is what I need to be asking myself. I need to keep in mind the conversion rate. I need to plan for the worst case scenario. If we get back to that 20% elimination of my money, right? We're already at 10% right now. So is this going to work? And so, baby, no, don't take responsibility for that nonsense for the knuckleheads out there. You look, we are grown, and see, they want to be grown out here and talking about, I'm a grown woman. You ain't, and then it's like, if you ain't thinking things through.
I think there's that. And I think there's also a form of desperation. When I told you guys, like, I had lost everything, I had to start all over, there was a form of me that was super desperate. And I just wanted someone to tell me what I should do, and I would have done whatever they told me to do. You know what I mean? So I try to keep, that humility but again, you don't know who have access to the information. You know what I mean? So it's hard.
It's true.
And I go back and forth with that a lot. Like my lane is business. I know that. But if what you doing and shucking and jiving and moving your life and countries and stuff like that, I could try to give you what I can to help you, do what you need to do based on what you have and your skill set and your knowledge. But again, I still have to know what that is to help you in that area. But as it relates to things that like money and particularly trading, because I did share that I trade at the very beginning of my story. I haven't mentioned anymore. And I was like, she must be down from the count for her to know that. So yeah, I get it. But from someone who has created an audience before, I try to be conscious, and people are interested.
Yeah. And trading, that just sounds like work to me. And I'm not trying to work that hard. High Vibe, the name of the video that we did was How to Leave the USA ASAP. She was the one who was talking about teaching English abroad. And so see it under there. If you don't see it, email me at hello@ourblackutopia.com. hello@ourblackutopia.com. And then I want to give a shout out to Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you for the super chat. If you guys don't know, all of our super chat money goes into a scholarship fund. We give scholarships for people who want to get their money straight. Scholarship to Beyond the Bling. We've given away 4 scholarships so far, and you guys have paid for that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Our community thanks you, and we really appreciate it. Was there another question in that? Let me just make sure.
Yeah, no, Ray had a question in that, and I'll share my thoughts on that, and then see what your thoughts on. So when it comes to digital marketing, there's a variety of aspects of digital marketing. So you can end up doing email marketing, you can do SEO, you can do social media marketing, you can do a variety of things, right? So you have to decide what area that won't make you sick. I say that because you'll have to spend a lot of time doing it. And so of those avenues, which one of those do you find more interest? Some people don't want to deal with social media. I hate social media, right? But, luckily I can outsource that out to staff. But find out of the digital marketing sphere which one you enjoy and just get really, really good at it. You could literally just survive doing one of them, right? But understand we are getting ready to go into a recession. And so marketing, even my business has been affected, right? So when people are cutting their income, they cut their staff and they cut marketing. Marketing's the first to go. So with that being said, focus on, I would probably say get really good at email marketing, because that of the dollar for dollar return, email marketing is really great, and learn everything you can about it. And then pick an industry. Don't just say you do email marketing for everybody, because it's going to get really hard for you to find your clients. If you're doing email marketing and you can market just to accountants to help them get more clients, or just to, cosmetic dentists, or just to plastic surgeon, or just for churches, whatever the industry is, pick one so that you can get really good of expressing to that industry how you can do it well, right? So like for my folks who are web developers and web designers, you're going to have a lot more credibility if you're the web designer who's do websites for restaurants. So if I'm a restaurant, I want you versus the person who does the website for the dog groomer and the accountant and the whatever. But if you're the one that specializes in making websites specifically for restaurants, you're probably going to know what restaurants are struggling with and know how to convert better and do things based on that industry. So pick up the skill. You do not need to know all of digital marketing. Okay, so even if you want to specialize with just SEO or just Google ads or whatever it is, pick an industry after you decide the discipline. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
And I mean, even when it comes to our Black Utopia, everybody in our audience, our main audience are folks who are getting close to retirement age who forgot to plan for retirement. Black folks, for the most part, right? We have 30-year-olds in our audience. Hi, y'all. We love you. Glad you got the message early. But by and large, and so that's very, 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 very specific. It's not anybody who's watching YouTube. So Peggy was talking about an online course, ebook, or blog. Yeah. So, and so that's not 100% passive, right, Peggy?
You gotta write that thing.
So You've got to write it, you've got to market it, and you have to know SEO so that
people can find it on accident.
Right. So the professor says, "Come on, Cinnamon, unpacking that passive income knowledge." Yeah, I mean, except for investments in the stock market,
that's not even passive. It's not.
You got
to keep monitoring it. You got to keep looking at it. Right now, we about to go. Well, I ain't gonna go down that road, but that's not passive either.
No, it's not. And like the set it and forget it.
I wouldn't dare do that. I wouldn't advise it. I wouldn't advise it at all. We have Luxury Vagabond, how to build engagement when you are building a community, YouTube, and your audience is quiet. They say, hey, like the video, but they aren't. Do you suggest? I would suggest with a new audience to do all of the above. Like you want to do a variety of different modalities and see which ones matter most. And I'm not sure what your content is, but is it content that someone would need to say something that they would need to respond or they would need to engage? So if it's just you're just showing something and they do like it, then what else, can they say? So I'm not familiar with, if you want to be specific as to what content you're giving them and a lack of response, then it might be that they like it, but it's not something that they need to hugely engage in.
Unless you're asking questions during the video. So that's one way to build engagement on YouTube, right? So within your video, Luxury Vagabond, ask, so I'm not sure what your YouTube channel is about either. Sorry, baby. But
asking about taxes. Oh, sorry. We weren't done with that one.
But if you are asking questions during your video, let us know, what you think about this, or do you have more questions about that? Please put it in and people sometimes need prompting, and a lot of people want to just stay in the background. So, but if you prompt them, then you will have a better idea. And then the other thing is offer something free. Offer something free, because when we started offering the Ready to Retire Toolkit, that people would email us questions. And that's how we started revising it and making it better and closer to what they need. All right. Since you trade abroad, do you get tax support from someone based in Portugal, someone based in the US? Do you handle taxes on your own?
Both. People are always asking about taxes. And you need both, folks. You need somebody in the U.S. and you need someone in your home country, if it's not the U.S. You need someone in your home country and you need someone in Portugal. And a lot of people ask me how I'm getting taxed and that type of thing. Is understand, if you have a coworker, you guys work for the same company, you all's taxes are going to be different, right? Working for the same company, right? It could be based on they have kids, you have kids. You have a side business, you have some. Like, it's based on so many things. So then if you add the additional complexity of moving out of the country, naturally, no one's taxes are going to be the same. So I recommend you look into tax attorneys and opposed to CPAs, because they are familiar with the tax law. So yeah, I have them in both countries to answer that question.
Yeah, and so do we. And we found someone here who understands the treaty. So if you just have regular pension, I would recommend her. If you've got something a little bit more complicated, you have your own business, I don't know yet. I'll let you know. Audience platform, what did you use? For example, when I had time 2021, I was doing Facebook Live. Great, Mary. My followers increased, but when I was too busy to keep this up, but then I was too busy to keep it up.
So there's two parts of this. If you're too busy to keep it up, then it don't matter what platform, because you're gonna have to be consistent on any of them. So that's just that. Okay. The second thing is, I'm always going to guarantee that you should build your platform on something that is SEO optimized, and for that is basically your YouTubes, your Quoras, your Pinterest, your those type of things. There's an intranet and internet. Okay, so intranet means someone has to log in order to see the content. These are usually not indexed in Google. Okay. YouTube is owned by Google, means that the videos are indexed in Google, which is why at all times I'll make all my clients go on YouTube, because if there's a question or some content they can create, it's easy for them to show up in search, right? So when someone's hungry and they're looking to solve this problem, you can show up. You can't do that in Facebook. Okay. When's the last time you Google anything and a Facebook thing came up? It doesn't, because someone has to log in. They shut theirs down. Your Instagrams too. It's shut down. You have to log in to get access to the information. Pinterest, it's been various times when you've probably Googled something and a Pinterest thing come up, right?
Yep.
So think about those things. Those are the things where you can find an audience based on them searching for it. So if you need to build a platform, I would always recommend, I'm not going to tell you, I would always recommend YouTube, but some people don't want YouTube, but you want to focus at least on a platform that is more of an internet versus an intranet. Okay. So again, that's your YouTubes, your Pinterest, your Quoras, Reddit, things like that. When you Google it, they come up, and that is not the case with Facebook and
Instagram. Nope. Indeed. I am not a fan of Facebook. So if you work for a company that has a skill set you are interested in, make that a part of your development plan. Seek out an internal mentor and start testing the waters and learn before you leave.
Great
Thank
advice.
Ms. K.
Absolutely.
Thank Ms. K. We crowdsourcing today.
Absolutely.
It's night here, y'all.
It's night here.
But I know it's not night where y'all are at. Yeah.
Thank you, Greta. Shout out to Greta. I'm planning on returning.
I look at my investments daily. I don't freak out. That's right. Midlife money moves.
Okay, so we don't have any more questions, do we?
Okay, it doesn't look like we do. So the last thing that we were talking about for entrepreneurs. So we've got, just to review, y'all, for those who turned in late, we've got 4 stages. We've got remote jobs. If you've never done anything and you want to get out sooner than later, you're going to watch this from the beginning, but I'm just going to tell you what you're going to see. You're going to see something about how to search for remote jobs and build your brand online. The second type of person is a freelancer, right? Somebody who has been consulting, has a client here or there, but may not be building their marketing funnel and their sales funnel while they're doing projects, but that's where you're at now. The third one is entrepreneur, which I just love. I was gonna give Sin all the credit, but she's humble. She's not taking
Somebody
it.
was saying in the comments that they heard Mark Cuban uses that a lot on what is it?
I don't know.
All the rich people.
I don't know. I don't know. Shark Tank. Okay. I don't watch any of that American stuff anymore, y'all. He's still watching Hulu. I can't take it. I can't take those American commercials. So entrepreneurs are focusing on things that are not bringing in the money. You don't have a business if you are not bringing in money. You don't have a business if you don't have customers that are paying you. So spending a lot of money for somebody to build you a website, spending a lot of money registering this and LLCing that and doing all this stuff when you don't have a paying client is probably not a good use of your time, beloved.
Or money.
Absolutely.
Beloved, we love you. We understand. I remember kind of being there, but thankfully I started my business before there was an internet. So I didn't bother with a website and then when I did, I bartered it. I offered our services for his services and I made him teach me how to update it teach me some basic HTML code so that I could update it on my own.
And for those of you who are just learning the skills, like find a family or friend that you can use them as a test dummy and use them as a case study or as your portfolio as you're trying to get, jobs with clients. But thinking that like not having the experience, but yet wanting people to pay for you, you got to get out of that mindset. Okay. So practice it out with friends, family, whatever. If you got a friend, if you want to learn web design, they got a business, offer to create their website, because it's in the experience where you're going to learn how to do what's necessary, and you're going to experience the problems and know how to fix it. And you want to know how to fix it before you have a paid client who is paying you and you're, struggling in that area. And just real quick, Daniel had the question, and he said he's been in IT for 27 years, currently working remote. How is the IT job market in Portugal, specifically cybersecurity? So hear me when I say this, folks. Hear me when I say this. Hear me when I say this. Do not move to Portugal thinking you getting a job in Portugal. Do not do it. And I need you, I need y'all to really, whatever country you want to move in, I need you to look and see what the job market is in there. Do that research. Portugal, and I say this all the time, Portugal is not the place you move if you need a job. It is not the place you move when you need a job. It is not the place you move when you need a job. It is not the place to move when you need a job.
As a matter of fact, if there is an easy visa process, it's probably because they need your money. They ain't got no jobs for you. Try to get to Switzerland. Try to get to the UK and see how that works out.
Right. And if you do want a job and you still want to live in Europe, there are various European countries you can move to that have a flourishing job market, right? It's not Portugal.
Or you can do like two of our clients did, and they got bold and said to their employers that they wanted to move to Europe. And they said, you know what? Our London office has an opening. They don't mind if you live in Portugal.
Right. And what also helps with that, folks? If you have like a 2-year plan, building your online brand. To build your online brand, it's more open of you being able to work in different countries because they want you specifically. They don't just want anyone. They want you specifically. And if you build your online brand, it makes it much easier for you to even work with for other countries. So I know we touched on that before. And if you come in late, go look at that part, because your online brand is going to be critical for you to always have money in this economy. You want to do that even if you don't move out of the country, honestly, guys.
Yeah. So we're talking building a business, Shana, not necessarily real estate investing and stuff like that. So put a Q in front of your question. So entrepreneurs, we're talking about building digital products. We're talking about affiliate marketing. We're talking about lead generation, using tech for lead generation. So when you're saying digital products, do you mean just courses?
So no, digital products can be anything. They can be a course. They can be a workshop. I love me a workshop, right? Online workshops. Online workshops are one of my favorites because it's not a whole bunch of things. You did teaching what you need to teach for 90 minutes, you go. Okay. So there's online workshop, online classes. You can create e-classes if you want to do that, where you're just sending emails to people, like a whole course just through the email, if you want to do that as well. If you want to create newsletters, so think about an industry you're in, and let's say you have a way to get the latest news from that particular industry. Like I belong to a couple newsletters specifically on AI, and because I don't have time to go doing all that, and to subscribe to someone who is going to do that for me, and I pay a subscription, I'm all for it. So think about those various ways. So you can, audio course, there's so many digital ways you could do a digital products. You can do, summits, you can do webinars, you can do, so many various ways you can sell an ebook. There's so many ways to make digital product, but all of that matters when you build your audience. If you go out creating all these things and don't nobody know about you, you just spend all this time creating it and now nobody's buying it. Okay. So understand the steps, even though it exists. I'm not telling you to do that first. I'm telling you to build your audience first. And then go there and do that.
I sold on-demand print products on Etsy. And I did make sales, and I usually made sales from friends who knew that I was an okay artist because I used my own artwork on the stuff, and it worked. I put Cinnamon's website is scrolling across the bottom, y'all. All right. And I will put it in the chat. So if you need to get in touch with us, It is hello@ourblackutopia.com, or you can just go to ourblackutopia.com. I'm putting Cinnamon's information in the chat as well. So speaking of summits, y'all know if you are thinking about moving to Portugal, we have partnered with Blacksit Global, and we're having our Move to Portugal Summit the first weekend in November. We have already got some real estate people, some attorneys, some immigration attorneys, language people involved, and so we are building that list of speakers. It's going to be on point. I think Krishan is still in the audience. Hey, Krishan, our business partner. And so, yes, Blacksit Global and Our Black Utopia, how do you feel, are doing an online summit. And so this is part of the way that we are, again, building our brand and offering something that people have been asking for. How do you feel about creating your own
App.
App. My industry is fitness and yoga.
Hi,
Rocky X, The Awakening.
Rocky, I'm gonna tell you to do something easier than an app right now. Like, I don't know how much of an audience you've already built, but if you're in fitness or yoga, you can go ahead and create fitness and yoga classes and charge people to get on them like right now. You don't need to, because with the app, you got to find a developer. If you're doing it yourself, so it's a lot in the back end. In theory, yeah, you could develop an app, but a lot of apps don't make a lot of money. So the goal is like, what are you attempting to do? If you're trying to make another income and you want it full time, then you need to start putting content out there so that people know about you, and then advertise in that content that you're doing a workshop maybe. But then what's going to differentiate you from other people? So is it, do you concentrate on, women who are going through menopause, or people who have back pain, or there's tons of yoga people there. So what about your personality? You got to show that. So people say, oh, I like her, I want to work with her. And then you can just, even on Zoom, you could just try it, see if people pay, test a whole bunch of things right now. Because in theory, anything can make money, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that once you put all the practices involved, then it's going to be lucrative for you. So at the bare minimum, you can do a workshop. And if people sign up, then it's potentially those people later on would sign up for an app. But if you want to make money now, and if you already have the audience, go ahead and put it out there and see what they want and see if they bite. Because you don't want to spend all that time and money developing an app and then nobody download it or want to pay for it.
Yeah, nobody gets it.
Exactly. We do not believe in going into debt starting a business. As a matter of fact, the less money you spend where you can pivot, reiterate, learn, pivot, reiterate, the better. Then you will come out with something at the end of the day that really is going to be the least amount of work for the most amount of value for your customers and for yourself. But spending all this time and money, that's like so last century.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We don't do that. And
you don't have to. You don't.
No, you don't
in
have
this day and age, you don't even have to. So it's no need to do that. And real quick, Daniel was talking about a lot of U.S. based companies are not going to like the fact that you live in another country and you're talking about cybersecurity. That's just what. And I'm in D.C. with the federal government, and nobody want to hit at you in a whole other country talking about you doing some tech for them. So it just depends. So I understand your question, but yeah, it depends on. A lot of U.S. companies in that form of tech are not going to like it that much because there's security issues. Usually they have to run you through, IT. They're running through your tech to make sure what. So yeah, to answer that. For those who are like, what is she doing? Is she sorry? I was responding to Dan's question, and I also have Tourette's.
I saw the thing about cybersecurity, but again, Dan, think about the major corporations that are global. And do they have positions here? Mm-hmm. That may be one of the easiest ways, again, building that online brand so that you become the first choice and not have to fight and compete for it, right?
Absolutely.
The people who were able to transfer here like this had already built up their reputation at their company where it didn't really matter what they asked for. They were going to get a yes because we cannot do this thing without you.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's the place where you want to be. And if you haven't gotten there yet, that's what you want. You want to be the asset and add value to the company. And think about it this way. It's various ways you can be like, okay, I'm going to work in the US for 3 months and then I'm going to roll out. You know what I mean? So don't so you can do project based and bounce depending on what country, and the requirements of immigration as to how many months you have to be in the country. So that can vary, but don't think it has to be this everyday thing. If you've built the brand and the expertise, you can decide, okay, I'll be in this country working for 3 months on the project, and then I'm not for 2 months. You can have that flexibility if people know your name. But when
Yeah.
people don't know your name, you can't. It's harder to
It's
do that.
indeed, indeed. So, Lisa, beloved,
Who can answer that
Hmm.
I don't
I'm
know.
over here looking. What you?
I don't know. I don't know. So on this channel, I'm not really one who encourages people to work for other people. And Lisa, it doesn't look like you're Black, but especially as a Black American who has always been undervalued and underpaid, I always will suggest that you start moonlighting, doing the thing that you want to end up doing that you have control over. Most of, like, I don't think any country is necessarily hungry
No.
for American workers. They want their own workers to have jobs first and foremost. And so if you are American and you're coming to another country to work, that company who's ever hiring you has to prove in some kind of way that they cannot find someone of their
in their
own country to take that job. So I would think about teaching English for international schools or something like that, because we know any North American has that expertise to and there's some places where you don't need a teaching credential. You just need a bachelor's degree. And so if you want more information on that, look at our video that we did, How to Leave the USA ASAP. It was, we were interviewing an educator. She has worked in different schools across the globe.
But can I touch on that really quickly?
Absolutely, please.
So there are a lot of people who are attempting to be teachers internationally. I need people to really understand the economy we're going to get into and the competition that would be associated with that, and people having the discretionary income to pay for that. I need you guys to get a skill. Not to say the teaching isn't a skill. That's not what I'm implying at all. Okay. I need you to get a transferable skill and learn that, because if they run out of not needing teachers anymore, and the pay is not, depending on what country, the pay is not going to be that high. So now you're in a country that you're not getting paid that much and you still have these bills. If you don't have a skill set, you're going to have a hard time and you're going to struggle. Okay. So I'm not condoning the teaching route. It can work, and it has worked for some time. People really need to understand that this economy is about to change hard and quick. Okay.
Where we get back to diversifying your income
Absolutely.
streams.
Absolutely.
Right? Diversifying your income streams. So, all right. I think we have done it as far as the money goes. We're going to round this out with something softer. Course creation. What do you think about course creation for homeschooling parents?
I think it's great if you build the audience. I wouldn't tell you anything can be great. Everything's wonderful. Build the audience first.
There is someone out there who needs this information. There are some ones out there that need that information. Do they know you exist?
Exactly.
All right. Abby, there's a lot of new names. Welcome, you all. Welcome. A lot of new names I see in the chat. So I thank you for that. Hit the like button, baby. So Anita wants to know.
The economy is about to change hard and quick. Oh, love. Okay. Anita, like, we're in a recession. Like, we know that part, right? Are we all in agreement that that's what's going to go down?
Well, there are some folks like, okay, the average American pays attention to politics, economics, and things like that about 3 to 5 minutes per week. You got kids, you doing this, you doing that, you running around, you hear little bits of this and that, and you might not know. Like, how many 2008 caught some people off guard.
Okay. So with that being said, there's a couple things I want people to really pay attention to, particularly if you were saying that you want to move abroad. I need you to pay attention to currency. Okay. I want you to look at a chart. I want you to look at the USD and whatever country currency that you are moving to. because you need to know the history of the currency. And you want to look all the way back to 2008, because that was our last major recession, right? So the tech space and the what we're calling the middle class jobs have been affected dramatically. Companies are downsizing. I feel like we all know that, right? So companies are downsizing. People are losing their income. More people, kids are moving in with their parents. Parents are taking care of their parents. So you have what are they calling the sandwich generation, where you have, right? So you're taking care of your parents and you still paying for the grown adult that's living in your home, right? So things are changing. Just looking at inflation, like we know that the inflation rate is going up, right? So be aware of these things, folks, because this is when I talk to you, the investments are not passive. They're not passive. Like they're not passive. You got to be, particularly if you're in a market, you need to know what's happening. Just look at a chart. Just look at it. You can go on Google right now and do the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or whatever, and just see what the chart has been and what it is currently doing now. We are going to have an election year next year. And so the expectation is things are going to get even more trickier next year, regardless of who's in the office. Okay. So this is the time, if you have not paid attention to economics and you are thinking about taking your USD to somebody else's country, particularly a country in which their currency is higher than ours, you're going to be you're going to have a very expensive problem on your hand. Okay. So
unless you've planned accordingly, and look at the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So
you definitely have to plan.
You do, folks. Seriously. So if you're getting $6,000 a month in pension, take 25% off of that and say, can I be happy in this new country on that amount of money?
Can I throw it in the toilet is the better question, because that's kind of what's going to happen to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although you might not live any better in the US with that amount of money. So you really have to think about that. So, and just food for thought, 2008, if you're talking about a European country, it maxed at 1.58. Okay. $1.58 was necessary to equate to 1 euro. That means you lost 60% of your money went into the trash just off of GP. Okay. And depending on what kind of bank you have, it still costs money to get your money to Europe. So these are the type of things you want to be very, very, very aware of. Okay. Do not come and not be financially ready and do the Europe thing. But even as someone just pointed out, even the pesos to euros is still, the USD has lost some value, folks. And with the inflation rate increasing naturally, the US dollar ends up decreasing in value. And I'm not here to argue, because I said that on my video and people are arguing with me. I'm like, clearly y'all don't look at the chart. Like, I'm not here to argue with you. It's fact. If you go look at financial news and pull up a financial chart, you will see whether it's based on currency or where the current stocks are, or even you can see the correlation even when we're going through an election year. So yes.
Consider these things if you were, particularly if you're talking about moving in the next 2 years and you talking about moving to Europe, like definitely know that.
And moving the money, y'all. But see, I would not have known to plan for this, Sinman, had I not watched your videos.
Because I'm obsessing about it, right?
Well, but it's important, and I think people need to understand. Because thank you, Ange. Thank you for the super sticker. We really appreciate it. And we don't know when the New York Times article is coming out. I'm gonna email her because she said early summer. But moving the money, planning when you're moving your money, and all of that. Like I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I don't think I had connected all of the dots.
No, I get it. And as we'll transition to talking about when the honeymoon phase wears off, part of that is that too, right? Like when you first move to a country, you're moving like an expat. Like some of the apps that were created in US are giving you information in USD, right? And opposed to euros, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You may still do some Ubering and opposed to take, you know what I mean? So you haven't migrated all the way into the culture of the country, and you're paying a bit more, right? And I don't remember where I was going with that thought.
With the conversion rate.
Right. So you may not even seen the conversion rate that much. Because when I first moved to Portugal, I did a lot of Airbnbs. I did a lot of short-term rentals. And then when I did get like a longer rental, everything still stayed in my landlord's name. Right. So he still had the utilities in his name. So I didn't have to deal with the utilities and that whole thing. until like, just recently, right? So there was just certain things that still made it like I was something like a tourist, even though I had been there for a couple of years. The way I was living was not like a regular person in Portugal, if that makes sense. And so that's a bit of the transition. And Chandra, okay, so it's about to be a party here. Let me get on mute real.
Thank you. I'm not sure if you addressed this. Okay, I will get to that, DeWitt, but I think Shauna asked a question.
She asked a question about chat GTP on the rise.
Yeah. And it's interesting because during the 2020 campaign, there was a candidate who kept talking about how AI was going to take everybody's job away.
Listen, it's even affected my business, but again, I want people to learn about it. If you want to still work within the next, 5 to 10 years, you need to learn about it. But again, remember, and I don't know if you just joined us, but please don't get so scared of tech that you forget that you are an individual, right? So the way that you do something, or your strategy, or the way you process something or do something, that is individual to you. So they're still going to need people to do the strategy and all that other stuff. And come on in. Don't feel like you got to be quiet. They're still going to need people who have the strategy and are able to execute and things of that nature. So you want to consider that, and don't get so frozen thinking about AI as going, it could take a job, but that's why we want you to get as educated as possible in your field so that you can be the expert and still be able to execute strategy.
Absolutely. Plus I saw the movie. I know how it ends.
I mean, and I'm learning about AI.
Yes, you are.
Every day.
Yes.
Every day I'm learning.
Gotta talk, because I'm geeking out on it and I had nobody to talk with.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, he is. And I'm building an audience because that seems to be the focal point.
Lady Central, I just wanted to say that just on the last recession, this is what I learned when I left the US, and this is going to be kind of controversial. I learned that the US business is banks, right? Because when all this was said and done, I remember when Bank of America stock was at $3 a share in 2008. Like it was nothing. Fannie and Freddie Mae were in the single digits, like everything was going crazy, right? So I say all that to say that if you understand that one of the main businesses of the banks is banks for the United States, then you can operate a lot different when this market falls out and really make some money in it. And that's just all I'll say.
Interesting. If you want to know more about investing, folks, I suggest that you start with the nonprofit organization called Better Investing. They have tons and tons and tons of videos explaining how you look at the market, how you look at individual companies, and evaluate them to see if you are paying a good price for that stock. It's a minimal membership fee. They've been around since the 40s or 50s, and kind of started the club investing movement. So they're pretty conservative as well. So if you want to know more, Better Investing, we're not affiliate. It's a nonprofit. They ain't got affiliates. So I've learned a lot, and they have digital tools on there to help you evaluate. And they've got the financials for all of the companies and things as well. Okay, so back to building an audience. You're still muted, baby.
Sorry. I'm not sure if you addressed the question already. Can you explain how to build an online audience? Because it seems that is the focal point. So we did address that earlier. But ultimately, you're going to figure out who your audience is, and based on your industry, figure out who your audience is, what are some of the questions that they have, where are they struggling, and how you and your skill set can help that. And you're going to create content that is search engine optimized so that people can find you. And build your audience. Once you build your audience, you're going to transition them into an email marketing list so that you can continue to stay engaged with them and start to get information from them. If you have not done this before, I do recommend that you just open up some 20-minute sections so you can talk to some people, because if you stay in this online world, but you're still not talking to people, you're still not really getting what you need to know to create a product that's going to be effective for them, right? So you're going to build the content, make sure that people can find it. they're going to take them off of social media and bring them back to something you own, which is going to be an email list, and just start there. Don't go no bigger or deeper yet until you start making some money. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you might want to do all these other things, but don't do it yet.
The other thing that I would like to add to that is once you figure out who your audience is, see where else they are hanging out online. Where else are they hanging out? What groups are they hanging out with? If they're LinkedIn groups, what other channels they're hanging out, and go be a part of the conversation. Don't you be trying to sell and steal customers or do anything like that, but go and be a part of the conversation and add value to people's lives, answer specific questions.
Absolutely.
And then you become the person in the, how to build a website group on LinkedIn. You become the go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that also will help you build your audience.
I think we answered all the questions I could see.
Okay, great.
We're good on that.
So, okay, y'all. So we're going to spend just about 10 minutes here because we've been on for 1 hour and 53 minutes. Because it's really hard to do, really hard to do less than 2 hours, isn't it? We try. We really do try. But you guys keep asking questions, and a lot of good questions as well. So we appreciate it. We appreciate the engagement. So, okay, so we've addressed that. So one of the things, a lot of the folks who watch us want to move abroad, not necessarily to Portugal, but they want to move somewhere or retire somewhere. So we've got people looking at Panama, Ecuador, Mexico, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, all and places in Africa as well. However, there's probably, as far as people from North America, with our North American culture, there's certain expectations that we have of how the world works, and then some cycles that we go through when we move to a new country. And when we were first talking, you said, it gets rough out here. Mm-hmm. It gets rough. Everything is not roses and champagne and port wine from Douro Valley.
Of course not.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
I think ultimately you have to decide if you're the type of person who's open to have new experiences. So like, are you the person living in America and just won't try new food? You know what I mean? Like if that's you now, you're going to struggle coming out the country. So there are people who are still very closed-minded in their home country. And you have to really decide if that is you, or ask your friends if that is you, if you are unaware, because it's going to make your transition, very hard. And it's different than just moving to a different state. If we're talking about a situation where you may not know the language, you are going to have a different experience in the country when you know the language versus when you don't. That's just obvious. Just consider people who come to America and may not speak any English and how much of a struggle it's going to be. You can have that same struggle in another country, and you have to decide with all the other nuances that may be going on in your life, can you handle that part? Okay. And there's a part where it feels like a vacation, because that's basically what you're doing. All of this is new. You have these new experiences. You're meeting these other people. They're excited. There's all this stuff. And then you get into the heart, and when you develop a routine, the same way you would do in your home country. You go to the doctor, you're going to the store, you're dealing with utilities. I know I keep bringing up these utilities.
It's on another level.
It is.
It is.
It truly
Portugal is. Utilities are the most complicated thing. And I trade for a living. Like, I don't even understand why I got to be this complicated. It's ridiculous. But at any rate, you're going to have to be in regular life. You're going to have to deal with what I'm experiencing even in this visit. The people I love and care about in my home country are getting sick and they're passing away, and then you got to deal with that emotion while you're getting ready to leave them and the family and stuff. So there's a variety of things that you have to get used to and decide if mentally that's something that you can handle. And I'm not saying this to be like, doom and gloom. I just want people to be aware of it. And as someone reflecting who's been in this for 4 years now, you're always going to miss the people who are still in the States. I don't miss America at all. But this particular visit back has been a bit emotional, because people are leaving this earth, and you can't be there for your friends and your family the way you once were, when you can just run up the street or do that. And then how does that affect you emotionally? as you're in this new place and experiencing these new things, and you're not good at everything. Like you're learning everything all over again as a grown person.
Yes, you are.
How to work the oven.
You truly are.
How to work the
How to
washing
work the
machine.
washing machine.
And you're putting like Google Translate picture up front. Okay, what does that mean? And it's not translating right because, yeah.
And it's not to say that you shouldn't do it. It's to say, be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
And understand there are going to be various transitions. Once it transitions from the honeymoon stage and you're like, okay, what does this look like? And you start to experience just the regular stresses of life. You know what I mean? Like when you come to a new country, the stresses of life are revolved around you moving to the country. But then when the regular life stresses come,
Right.
in addition to,
Right.
it can be a lot. And so be gentle with yourself, give yourself some grace and some time, and get a good circle of friends. Tell people in your home country how they communicate with you. Like show them WhatsApp, particularly if they're older, show them the various ways that they can communicate with you so they can get to you, so that you're connected. Because I just realized my dad had no idea how to do that until like a week ago. I'm like, is that why you ain't calling? Yeah, I didn't know what to use. I didn't do all that preparation. And that was one of the mistakes that I learned. I did a Moving Abroad Summit like 2-3 years ago. And there was a young woman who came on board and she was saying, how do you prepare your people for your move? And I was thinking, I said, oh my God, I didn't do any of that, So just consider it,
And because you said that in a video, I tried to do it. But when mom still uses a flip phone.
Look, then you got to break out the Skype, or you got to break out, you got to meet them at their technology level.
Where they're at.
Yes.
And so I left my iPad. I set it all up. All you got to do is when I ring.
There it is.
But she kept unplugging it.
Unplugs it.
Yeah. And then some people are using the Facebook, which I'm scared of it because I feel like it's listening to everything.
Monitored.
They have the face, right? They have whatever they had that like it followed you and it did some foolishness. So get what works for you and your people.
Yes.
But you're gonna need it because it's natural for people to feel lonely. It's not your country, and if you don't have a huge group of people that you've known, because my people I've known growing up, you know what I mean? So not having that, even though I have friends in Portugal, there's still boundaries you have with these new relationships. You know what I mean? Like if one of my friends is going something through it here and they're like, I don't feel like time, like, I don't care. I'm about to sit in the car and we just gonna ride. You know what I mean? Like I could do that. I can push myself on you because we have this history, but there's boundaries that you want to have with people you don't know that well, and you have to just figure out what that is and when you feel any particular way, because it's bound to happen. Who can you talk to? Who do you trust? And how do the people that you love still stay engaged with you? Because it gets to a point where they're just used to you not being there anymore.
Right.
That part it feels icky. It feels really icky. And and I can say, speaking that now, because I'm over here with all people I love and just.
And especially if you are moving out of the country single.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thankfully, when we were here in June, we went back to pack up our stuff and go to our stupid appointment. But we stayed in contact with the people that we vibed with via WhatsApp. So when we landed, the second day we were here, because we needed to rest. The second day we were here, we all the people who we were vibing with, we went out to dinner. So it felt like, okay. Yes, we loved you when we were here. We loved you on WhatsApp, and we still love you. We still love you. It's still vibing, right? And that, I think, even for married couples, because, working together, living together, he needs the guy friends.
Yeah.
And I need my girlfriends. I need my crew. So, doing that on a scouting trip really, really is important. And Professor says she's fresh from a scouting trip, and baby, the stress in remembering that I'm not vacationing was intense. Yeah, because I was still, y'all know, when we were here, I was still dealing with my mom. I'm still dealing with Gloria Benson, with my mom, trying to get her stuff straight and checking on my dad and making sure all his paperwork is in and making sure that the place that I put him in is okay and that they're taking care of him and I can't get him on video chat and what's going on. All of that has been solved in the meantime. in between time, but these are some of the things. And the utilities are not in our name because our landlord said it costs $75 every time he has to change them. Now we've just signed a 3-year lease, so maybe I can get him for 3 years.
No, don't deal with the utilities if you're gonna have to. In their name. Trust me. Don't.
I think I at least want Vodafone so we can get the package.
Deals, the package deal.
Yeah, that. But the electricity and the water, don't do
and
it.
all of that, I still haven't figured out the bill. I'm just like, I'm paying it. People are telling me to check the meter and this and that. That's your job, baby.
Yeah, I'm on it.
It's a man's job.
No, it ain't.
Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Preparing your people for your leave. Yes. And again, I got to give you credit because I tried. Like I set up the Facebook. I mean, the not Facebook, but the
WhatsApp?
No, FaceTime. Because she doesn't have, I set up the FaceTime. I gave her my old iPad, everything. We good to go. We tested out. We good. For like the first month we were here, we were FaceTiming. Okay, Mom, you looking okay. Got you covered, blah, 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 whoop-de-woo. Did the next month, by the next month, oh, I thought you had left that here and you coming back to get that.
Yeah.
Understand your family's limitations and figure out plan B. Now, thankfully, her sister and nephew and everybody else is just around the corner. So I'm not too worried. But as well as my sister goes in and checks on her. But best laid plans and all of that. Are there, as we close out, is there any other thing that you want to leave people with when they are considering a move abroad? We talked a lot about money, and money is one of, I don't get out here in these international streets, y'all, without a plan.
No.
Rick and I saved up 2 years living expenses. And that was living expenses for what it cost for us to live in Denver. Because we have lowered expenses, even in the worst case scenario, that's going to still be 2 years living expenses. Okay. So we've got a safety net and we have a pension coming in, but that safety net is if the fit hits the sham, as Cinnamon is saying, how bad it can get, we still have that safety net that we have built for ourselves. And that's not even including what's in our brokerage accounts and stuff like that. So you guys, seriously, do what you need to do so that when you make the move, if you make the move, that you're not having to go back because you didn't plan accordingly. Or maybe like we've got permanent residency in Mexico. We that's our plan C. That's our plan B. Plan C is United States. Yeah. But hopefully it's like family, we'll meet you in Mexico. We coming back to North America, but we going to Mexico. So we'll see you in San Miguel de Allende or Puerto Vallarta or someplace like that, Mexico City.
Yeah, ultimately, I would just say, just have your plan together as if you're not retiring, then make sure that you're getting your clients and setting all of that up before you leave the country, and just determine if the country you're moving to, what the currency is, and just look at the history of the currency of that country so that you can get a better idea as to preparation as to what to expect.
So you're already getting asked for an encore
to come back.
All right, Cinnamon. So if you want to
I'll come back and hang.
If people want to work with you on their business, where can they find you?
You can go to drivenspice.com, whether that's on Instagram or YouTube. And if you have any questions, just throw them on the website. Make sure that they're specific, because I can't answer your question if it's general. And I check all the, email and that type of thing. But ultimately, just don't think that you have to already know what you're going to do. Think about if there's any new endeavor you're about to do or try to do, learn a new software, new skill, take a new class. You can share that process, online and start to build your community. But think you want to build your community first before you attempt to start making, product.
Yes, which is exactly what we did. And with that, we want to thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We want to say Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Thank you
To
so much
all-
for having me, guys. I had a blast.
Yes.
Thank you for
Yes.
being here.
All of the male people who are out there, y'all have fathered somebody's nephew, whatever have you. I know you have. And so we love you. Happy Father's Day. And we just want to give you that props. Again, we're having our Move to Portugal Summit the first weekend in November. Krishan is in the chat. Hey, Krishan. So we are partnering with Blacks at Global on that. And we're going to bring you the best of the best, y'all, the best of the best. All right. So if that's not what you are looking for, everything else is in the description below. How to reach out to Cinnamon is in the description below. If you want our Ready to Retire toolkit, if you want to take Beyond the Bling before we go to the subscription model, you will be grandfathered in. We do monthly group coaching. All of that information is in the chat below, in the description below, or you can book a call. So we will see you on Thursday, y'all, for our short live.
It's been real. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
See ya.